Welcome to the Honest Health Podcast with your host, Jeffrey Burke. Honest Health brings you the brightest minds in the natural products industry, as well as athletes and entertainers. Jeff will keep you entertained and informed while educating on how to be successful on your healthy journeys. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Burke.
Hello and welcome back to the Honest Health Podcast. My name is Jeffrey Burke. I'm so glad you're back. Doing a solo podcast today, and I did so many of these on my radio show, and although I've been building incredible content with all my amazing guests that I've had on the show, recently it's been kind of something I've been missing doing, having my little one-on-one conversations. And I decided I was going to do one today, and I thought I would do it on a topic that is something that I think a lot of us probably should be paying more attention to, and we're not. And it's the topic of not getting a good night rest. You know, I think that so many of us are under amazing amounts of stress, and we're putting ourselves, in harm's way because we're not recharging. We're not plugging in. We're worried about our phones, and we're worried about all our electronic devices, and of course we're worried about our goals and our work deadlines and all those things, and that's wonderfully important, and we need to remember that. But we have also got to plug in and recharge ourselves. It seems like almost everybody I see everywhere I go, people are always saying sometime during the conversation, I'm exhausted. And I usually will open up the conversation with many reasons that could be happening. I could say, it could be that you're burning the candle at both ends. It could be that you're not eating a really good, healthy diet, that your stress level's a little too high. Maybe you're not burning off that stress with some exercise, or maybe just a nice walk in the evening. I said, you're carrying a lot of that stress home with you. But what seems to be one of the common denominators is most people will say, I don't sleep. I just don't get a good night's rest. I'm rarely rested. And, these are the same people that will, really burn the candle, and they'll all say the same thing. Well, this weekend I'm going to get caught up on my sleep, but we never do. We have to actually make a change and change the habitual nature of our nighttime activities. We have to do things that are going to make a dramatic difference. And, if we don't, we're really going to be in the same place that we always have been, and we're not going to make any changes. Occasional short-term insomnia can, affect up to 30 to 50% of adults. And, that's a big section. At some time in their lives, 30 to 50% of adults are having trouble with insomnia. Chronic or long-term insomnia that lasts about 3 days or more per week, that's a big issue as well. I think sometimes we toss and turn, and we do the things that we need to do, and we get through the day, and then we do what we do during the day. And what is that? We caffeinate. We use caffeine, we use sugar, and how many times have we said to ourselves, or on the inside of our mind, or we said it out loud, I just need to get through the day. I just need a little bit more energy to get me through the day, and then I'll be fine. And then we go home, and we don't do anything to recharge. We don't do anything to decompress. And we have to remember, sleep is essential for any kind of a journey that you're on that has to do with your health and well-being. No matter your age, sleep is vital. It is important. I don't think we give it the importance that we need to. I think we need to be reminded that it's great for cognitive function. It's great for energy levels. It's great for our immune system. It's great for a good cardiovascular system. Yet the statistic is 70 million Americans have chronic sleep disorders, such as insomnia or sleep apnea. Some of the experts also suggest that 80% of sleep disorders go undiagnosed, giving the difficulty in identifying the symptoms. Most societies are not even meeting the general suggestion of 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And I'm guilty there as well. I have been running on less sleep, 4 or 5 hours a night since college. And that's probably not the best thing, but it's what I know, and it's what works for me. But most people that I know, if they don't get their 7, 8, or 9 hours, they're not functioning. They're not firing on all engines. And I think we need to remember that we're spending so much time inside. We're not getting outside. We're not getting as much air and fresh air as we should be. We're not getting any natural light from the sun. We are behind our desks or in our offices most of the time. And I think we need to start looking at things a little bit differently. So when it comes to getting ready to have a great night's rest and planning for it, it's not just about using an herbal supplement, which can be remarkable to really making it work better for you and actually getting through a great night. It also has to do with the other side of the coin. There are people that have to use pharmaceutical means. Someone asked me one time, they said, I've tried everything natural and nothing's working and my health is diminishing dramatically and I had to give in and use a pharmaceutical medication. Are you completely against that? And I said, absolutely not. Sleep is so important that if you have exhausted things and you have tried things and you have even rearranged the bedroom and set the environment in the bedroom, which is also very, very important for a good night's rest, then that's what pharmaceutical, medications are for. Sleep is that important. It's that important that you need to do things correctly. And there are going to be people that have to go that route. So keep your mind open to amazing nutritional supplements. You can solely pick things like tryptophan or melatonin or chamomile tea. You can also look at things that are blended combinations. And then, of course, herbs like passion flower and ashwagandha, valerian root. There's so many wonderful things that you can use to help you get a good night's rest. Manufacturers and formulators today have made it a lot easier because they put a lot of things together for us. So we're not having to do all the mixing and the combining and maybe even the research behind it because these formulas have been formulated. Now, are they all equal? No. And should you get frustrated if you try something and it's not exactly a fit for you? No, you shouldn't. You need to put that impatience in your pocket because we are so impatient about everything today. We want a magic wand. We want the emergency fix automatically all the time. And it may take a couple trial and errors with, other companies to find the one that works for you. Everybody's different. We don't all fit in the same box. What works for your friend or your spouse or your significant other, your kids, your coworkers, the garbage man who told you about what works for him, that's great, but it may not work for you. So you may have to try a little bit and have a little bit of experimentation. And you know what? It's okay. So what are some tips that could make things a little bit better at night? Sometimes people don't even realize these can adversely affect your good night's rest. Think about not eating late at night. When you're eating late at night, and I know it happens because sometimes our hours are so long, and then you throw fatigue and tired and stress on top of it, and all of a sudden it's an hour after your dinner and you're already going to bed. Your digestive system is creating energy. It's trying to do its job. It's trying to break down whatever it is that you threw at it and swallowed down your throat and called a meal. And let's say most of the time it's rarely good because people don't eat well, especially when they're eating late at night. They're just doing what they can do. I get it. We've all been there. But try not to eat late at night. If you're one of those people that gets home at night and you're going to be going to bed soon after you get home, then eat that big meal at lunch. And when you get home at night, do something light. Do a salad, do some soup. What a perfect time for a smoothie. In the evening time, you can fortify your smoothie and make it wonderful, but it'll be light on your stomach. It won't take a lot of heavy digestion, and you'll be able to go to bed not feeling bloated, not feeling overly full. So that's really important. The other thing is limiting your blue light. The blue light coming from your phones and your iPads and your computer in general. One of my biggest problems is I would get in my studio where I am now and I would close everything down, shut everything down. I would go into the bedroom and I was feeling tired, and I would lay down, and rather than just turning off the lights and turning on the fan, yes, I use a fan every night, 2 of them actually. And rather than just doing that, I'd pick up my phone. And, that blue light close to your face, that melatonin that is finally worked up and finally telling you that it's time to go to bed, it's worked its way to the front of the brain. And all of a sudden you throw this light in your face 2 inches away. And all of a sudden the melatonin starts to recede and your body starts going, well, maybe I'm not tired. Maybe it's not bedtime. And then you're wide awake. And then it's 3 hours later and you've been doodling on your phone, on your iPad, and you're TikToked out and Instagrammed and Facebooked out. And, you're now at the point where you're still wide awake. And I tell people, if you go to bed and all of a sudden you're wide awake, get up, go do something. Go start a load of laundry, go wash the dishes, go do something methodical and mindless, really, so you can just kind of get yourself back to that tired state. And when you go back to your bedroom, do not pick up those lighted devices because it's not going to do anything good for you. It's going to hamper your availability and the success of a good night's sleep. The other thing is, just basically limiting that artificial light. Some people say that I was awake all night. I was looking across the room and it was a blinking LED light. Put a piece of tape over that or turn it to the side. That's enough to drive anyone crazy. With the amount of traveling I do, I have those digital alarm clocks in my hotel room. I unplug them because they drive me crazy, because I'll fixate on them and I'll stare at them and it's just so ridiculous. So I just unplug them while I'm there and I plug them back in when I leave. So keep that in mind. Find your temperature and your comfort zone of temperature. They say that if we keep our houses at like 68 to 72 degrees, that's a perfect like comfort zone and the sweet spot to keep people relaxed. But we go above and beyond. We make it so cold in the summer and so hot in the winter that we end up having a situation where, number one, we're not only overdoing the power bills, but we're creating a temperature that may not be conducive to sleep. It's actually a little bit cooler in the winter, actually, for a better night's rest. It's easier to put on a blanket, and it doesn't have to be overly warm, in the winter time, so you don't have to go too hot. You don't have to go too cold. Find your, Goldilocks, if you will, three bear sweet spot. Find the perfect fit for you and then leave it there. They say that when you're adjusting your temperature in your house all the time, it's easier just to keep it at that one temperature during that season of the year. So like in the summer, a lot of people out here in Las Vegas, they keep their dials at about 75 to 76 degrees, somewhere around there. Some of them 77, 78. That's so much cooler than 110 degrees outside, but we naturally have that feeling that we should pump it down to like 60. Now, we do that in hotels. I mean, I'm guilty of that. But at home, I try to keep it, in the mid to high 70s all the time. The other thing is, we have to find out how quiet we need it at night. Do you need to have a room that's completely silent? Do you need music? Are you one of those people that has to have a TV in the background? Do you need white noise? Do you need bubbling brooks? Do you need calming music, Gregorian chant, or classical? I mean, what is it that you need to actually relax? What kind of quiet do you need? You have to find that out. Nobody knows that because everybody has a different level of quiet. The other one is, how do you wind down? I mean, do you go for a walk at night? Do you go for exercise? Or does the exercise give you too much energy at night? A lot of people find if they go for a walk, it calms them down. It helps them center their day, kind of compartmentalizes, the crazy part of the day. So you need to know what you need to do to wind down. I mean, is it stretching? I mean, is it doing some yoga? Is it listening to music? Is it reading a book? I mean, what is it that causes you to kind of wind down at the end of the day? The other thing is, take a look at your medications. Sometimes people do not know that side effects of certain medications can cause insomnia. So you should go over your medications with your physician and you should ask them, because, many people go to more than one physician. And going to more than one physician, sometimes some of them are giving you a medication, another one's giving you a medication, and they may not personally know what you're using from the other doctor if you have not told them that you go to more than one physician. So what I love to do is I like to have people type on their computer all of the medications, the doctor's name who recommended that medication, the dosage, and how much they recommend that you take and when you take it. And have this list on your computer. And if they take things away, delete it. If they add things, add it. And then always have a couple of these copies in your purse, one in your wallet, one in your car. Because if you go to the hospital, and if you go to a new doctor's appointment, you know this. You sit down, they give you 15 pages of things to fill out. You're filling them out. And then you get to that dreaded page, list your medications and your dosages, and when you take them, who's the doctor that recommends it. We don't remember them all, and you may leave something important off. At this point, you just put that piece of paper and you have them attach it because it's already done for you. Because having this in front of them when they are seeing you or evaluating you for the very first time, they're going to take this into consideration if there is a medication that needs to be administered, because they're going to say, oh, I can't give you that because you're on this. They wouldn't have known that. So take the time to do this on your computer, save it, and then you can update it whenever you need to. How about your daytime activity? Do you have a good amount of activity during the day? A lot of us are behind the computers. I travel a lot, so I'm in planes a lot. I'm in cars a lot. But I try to get up in the morning early. If I'm at a hotel, I try to do a treadmill. I try to do some kind of activity If they don't have a treadmill where I am, I go for a walk in the evening time to wind down. Sometimes it's just a really nice way of kind of centering the day and just kind of bringing yourself down a little bit. So that's really, really important. The other thing is, how comfortable is your bed and your bedding? How often do you wash your sheets? They say that we should wash our sheets probably at least once a week. Some people do it twice a week. Your comforters probably every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. I've learned that in hotels, when you go there, they give you clean sheets, but the comforters, they probably wash once a month and not that often. I've learned this from housekeeping. So I personally take off the bedding and the bedspread and put it in the closet when I get to the hotel. And I just use the sheets because I know that those are fresh and clean. To me, that's important. At home, you want to try to change the sheets at least once a week. Now, your mattress, how long have you had it? If you have one of those old coil mattresses, sometimes the springs and the overuse of weight and the movement, and of course the absorbing of skin cells and moisture, are sometimes their mattresses almost double in their weight. They get so heavy because they've got saturation of skin cells and moisture. And the other thing is those coils can actually press up in areas that you lay in every night. Now, you may go to bed in one place on the mattress, but usually we wake up in the same place every night. Our body just naturally goes to that place that it's comfortable. But also people get sore spots on their shoulders, on their back, on their sides, on their lower back, because these coils are pushing up against your body and causing discomfort. If you've had a mattress over 5 or 6 years, it's a good time to change it out. There's a lot of alternatives and choices today, things that you should maybe be looking at, like maybe a foam mattress, maybe one of those memory mattresses, maybe one like an IntelliBed, one that you set the pressure point for yourself on your side of the bed. So if there's two of you, you can each set your own side for your own firmness or softness of the mattress. It doesn't matter, but do something different, because our bodies need to be comfortable. We do everything in our life to be comfortable. We get in a comfortable car, we have a comfortable chair at our desk. We try to have comfort throughout the day, but then we just plop in bed at night and we just accept whatever we have there. Maybe save up and get yourself a really good mattress, or go out during the sales and get one, because your body will love you for it. I actually bought one of those compressed mattresses, and it came in this box that's about 6 feet wide and like 1 foot square. And I pulled out this tube and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. This is a mattress. And I literally was shocked. I opened it up and laid it on the box spring, and it just started to firm up. And within 35 to 40 minutes, it was the firmest mattress. It was unbelievable. I could not believe that it was compressed inside this small little box, but it's one of the best mattresses I've ever bought and purchased and enjoyed and loved sleeping on, and missing it when I go away from home, especially if I'm on an uncomfortable mattress. But it was well worth the money spent, because we spend a lot of time in bed, and we should take that time. How about the darkness of your room? Do you need it black? Do you need it black as night and dark? Out here in Las Vegas, we have shift workers. So we have people that are awake when they should be sleeping and sleeping when they should be awake. And a lot of them, use blackout shades because they're trying to kind of set an environment of nighttime, even though they're probably going to bed at maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's light out. So they have to be able to adjust. So if you're having trouble, and sometimes it could be a little bit of light coming in that window, and that's enough to drive you crazy, invest in some blackout shades. I hear they're really worth it. Also, you might want to look into a diffuser and use some essential oils. Diffusers are really wonderful. They really put out some wonderful vibes and just wonderful sensations of smells, and things like lavender and even sandalwood. There's so many that are out there that I think are amazing. And the diffuser just kind of, lightly brings it up into the air. And sometimes that smell can be strong enough. You know what taking a lavender bath feels like? Well, what if there was a little lavender in the air at night? I think you might find it to be quite effective. I have a lot of people, and this is something I learned a long time ago. If you take an old washcloth and you flatten it out, it's dry and it's clean, and you put 5 or 6 drops of lavender oil on it and put it between the pillowcase and your pillow, you'll smell it all night long. And it's amazing what that can do to kind of relax you. So another tip there. Another one is keep a journal. I think keeping a journal is really good for life in general. I think that it's a good way to write things down and happenings, and it gives us a good reference point to go back and see, if we might have forgotten, what was going on that day. I mean, seriously, I've been feeling sick since then. I think it all started that day. You go back and you get that refreshing moment of exactly what happened that day. And I think that sometimes keeping a journal can be a good thing. The next thing is napping. They say that taking, a 20 to 30-minute nap during the day is very refreshing. But if you start getting into an hour and 2 hours, sometimes that dramatically will affect your nighttime sleeplessness and kind of add to the insomnia, because you really need to be sleeping, but your body's like, I got some good sleep this afternoon, I'm good. So that ends up keeping you up. So definitely keep that in mind of not napping too long. The other one is reserve the bedroom for two things: sleep and intimacy. If you need to have your computer and your laptop and all that stuff, put it in a different part of the house. Put it in an office, put it in a studio, put it somewhere. And if you need to work on it, then go to that room and work on it. Bedrooms are for sleep and intimacy, or any combination of the two. That's it. That's what the bedroom is for. Another one is smoking. Did you know that some people will say I get calmed down when I smoke, but at bedtime, which is kind of confusing because smoking is actually a stimulant for the body. And sometimes when people do quit smoking, when they're ready, because it's a personal choice, I think I don't judge anyone for what they do, because they have to be ready to make that change, and nobody can make them make that change. So if you ever try to drive people crazy about their smoking, they're going to just smoke more because it's their thing. So just be supportive if they're trying to quit. But they will tell you that after they quit smoking, they found out that they slept a lot better at night. And the reason they did is because they were kind of getting a little bit of a stimulant there in the smoking itself. The other thing is, how about get a checkup? When was your last checkup? When was the last time you went in and had a physical and had your blood work done? Because, insomnia and not being able to sleep at night, of course, could be linked to lifestyle choices. And it could be linked to, just having too much stress and, not exercising and not having a good diet. It could also be linked to underlying problems that we don't know anything about. And the only way to find out is to make sure that you are going in, at least getting a checkup once a year, getting your blood work done. It's important, especially if you're over 30. I used to say over 50. Now I say over 30, because people are breaking down at a much younger age now because they're eating a diet that's terrible. They're not moving their body. They're not balancing their stress. They're not decompressing. And it used to be us older folks were having the problem with that. Now I'm seeing people down into their 30s, and even in some case, even younger, because mental health is not a great thing right now. And we have to be taking care of ourselves to know where we are if we want to know where we're going. The other one is, they say sleeping on your side is a lot healthier than sleeping on your back, especially if you have sleep apnea, or you've got extra weight in your chest, in your mid area, in your tummy. They say that sometimes all that pressure pressing back down can be negative for giving you good breathing techniques that you need to get through the night. But they say sleeping on your side. I've heard sleeping on the right side is better than the left side. I think you just have to find your comfort zone. The next thing is your pillows. When was the last time you got yourself some new pillows? Pillows need to be supportive. There are amazing pillows today that cradle the neck. There are pillows that build in for side sleepers where there's a space for your arm to go underneath. There's pillows that really help to make sure that you're not, kinking your neck at night or not giving it the support. So there's a whole plethora of great pillows that you can look at. And I think it's important for us to do that because, it's an investment. It's an investment for your health and well-being. It's a health for your neck and your shoulders. And speaking on that, when was the last time you treated yourself to a massage or a chiropractic adjustment or some body work? You can't keep carrying that stress and not do something about it. I notice that as I'm sitting in the airport, I try to take in the surroundings around me. And I've always got my headphones on. I'm listening to music or an audiobook of some kind or something. But I watch people, and I'm always seeing people rubbing their necks, bending their neck from side to side, or rubbing their temples, or rubbing their arms, or rubbing their legs. Pain is an issue. And neck pain and shoulder pain, a lot of times that comes from, not sleeping correctly, too much stress. You're not releasing that stress. It's really important. Sometimes just going somewhere and getting a chair massage where they work on your neck and shoulders for a half hour is so revitalizing and so, encouraging for good feeling that you have not had in a long time. I love to get body work done. We have a wonderful person that comes to the house and does massages, but I've done them as I travel. If I'm out and around and I see chair massages, I'm in. I'll sit down. I say, give me a half hour. I'll take off my necklace. I'll take off that and my glasses, and I'll say, beat up those shoulders and that neck. I need it. And I love it because I walk away from there feeling good. It's like wearing a really good pair of shoes after you've had reflexology done on your feet. It feels like you're walking on pillows. If you don't think you carry stress in your feet, let me tell you what, you carry a ton of stress in your feet. And, stress and pain and discomfort and inflammation and all this stuff just adds up to a really unhealthy situation. I mean, how can we expect to have a great night's rest if we're really not taking the time to, really do the things that we really need to be doing? And I think a lot of us, just don't do it. We don't take the time to put ourselves into a category of taking care of ourselves like we should. We don't think about it. We've got so many other things on our plate. I mean, when was the last time you actually thought about getting a new mattress? I mean, I think most people think about it during like Memorial Day or Labor Day. Those seem to be the holidays associated with mattresses. I don't know how that happened. But all of a sudden people will say, let's go get a mattress. They're having a sale. But it's a great idea. And pillows and getting, better linens that you can keep clean and change them out every week or twice a week, whatever it takes. A clean bed is very, very important. The other thing is our animals in our bed. People ask that all the time. I have dogs. I have a lot of dogs. I have a few of them that sleep with me when I'm home, and I'm good with that. Some people are very sensitive. Dogs sometimes put dirt in the bed, and if they have allergies, that's going to add to it. Or some people are allergic to the hair of their animals. And maybe in those instances, you may not be able to have the dogs on your bed. And that's okay, because you have to put your health and well-being first. Because if we don't get the rest that we need, how in the world can we be expected to think, to remember, to decompartmentalize, to write a report, to do a PowerPoint, to train, to educate, to learn? How can we do this if our brain is not functioning and our body is exhausted and our mind is exhausted? I don't know why this is not more of a urgency with many of us, but we just don't do it. We just don't make it a priority. And I think we really need to start making it a priority because we deserve it. We deserve to have a way of decompressing and resting at night. I love having a great night's rest. My best rest is always when I wake up in the morning and you have that full body stretch. I don't always have it, but when I do, I know it's going to be a good day. I'm going to remember better. I'm going to be more focused. I'm going to be less irritated, more into even more of a positivity, if that's possible, because I'm pretty much there all the time. But I think that for many of us, we really deserve to have a great night's rest. So if you start thinking about it, you start thinking about yourself, am I tired all the time? Am I waking up? Is my body sore from just sleeping? When was the last time I bought a new mattress? Oh my goodness, when was the last time I bought a pillow? How old are my linens? These are so old. I need to invest in my health and my well-being. My mattress is like 15 years old. You think to yourself, oh my goodness, I need to replace this. I deserve a better mattress. I deserve clean, comfortable sheets, maybe a good thread count. I deserve better supportive pillows. And I'm going to find just the right pillow for me. Something that supports my neck, something that supports my head, something that, allows me to lay on my side and tuck my arm underneath, because there's a little tunnel there for your arm and it supports it. It's wonderful, especially when you wake up and your shoulder's sore, your arm is numb, and you get up in the morning and you're shaking your hands because your fingers are numb. That's not right. Why do we allow ourselves to do that? I have people that'll say, well, I just shake it for a little while and then I'm better. Why are you having to shake it at all? Why are you not taking the time to get a pillow that really makes it better, or getting a mattress, or going to bed at a good time and stopping your technology while you're trying to sleep, and, may take a hot shower before bed just to relax the body, or a hot bath with, a glass of wine and some lavender oil in the bathtub. If that's what it takes for you to have that relaxation, that's great. And if you need to look at nutritional supplementation, the technology today has allowed us to have things that are incredible. Some people say that melatonin works really well, but they feel sometimes a little groggy in the morning. That can happen. I mean, it does burn off, but it also, sometimes that's a trade-off of having a good night's rest. But there's also many formulas that do not use melatonin. And there's many herbal formulas that do not use melatonin. And that's another alternative for you. Maybe a nice cup of chamomile tea at night would be something to relax you. So, ask questions. Be curious. Don't judge, be curious more than anything else. And don't say that, well, I tried one thing and we throw this judging thing out there. That means nothing worked because it didn't work. Well, it was just one thing that didn't work. Did you try all of them? No. Have you tried any of the things that I've talked about today? Well, no. So how have you tried everything? We have to take the responsibility. There's nobody coming to do this for you. You've got to do it for yourself, and you should, because you deserve it. You deserve to get a great night's rest. You deserve to be able to decompress and sleep and rest and rejuvenate your body after a hard day, whether it was all mental work and you were at a desk all day long on your computer, or whether you were out there doing physical work. Whatever it is, you still deserve to be able to decompress and rebuild and rejuvenate and do all those wonderful things so you can get up and do it again the next day. But if you every single night get less and less constructive sleep and rest and relaxation, that means that every single day you're going back a step in how effective you can really be. How long can you do that? How many days, how many weeks, how many months, how many years until you're just totally keeping yourself from being not only as successful as you could be, but as healthy as you could be as well? I mean, it's really important. It's really, really important. Go to your health food store in your area. Go to a really good, high quality health food store. There's so many. I mean, if you follow me on LinkedIn and you follow me all over the place, I'm always talking about the amazing health food stores, the mom and pops, the brick and mortars, the chains, the people that are making a difference. We have to be able to shine the light on the importance these people and the services they provide us. What they provide us with is knowledge, a conversation, ideas, and their knowledge of what might work the best for you. They've got the feedback from many other customers, people that have tried other things. When they have this conversation, and you sometimes have to open up yourself a little bit, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You're there to get answers like the rest of us. You go to a health food store for answers. You go there to have a conversation. And then you go back to say, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I feel so much better. Or, I got a little bit out of it. Do you have something a little different, a little stronger? Maybe something that had come from a different angle. That's how you constructively work through something to find the perfect fit. You don't just throw your hands in the air and say, nothing works. And you know who you are. And I know who you are too, because I've met a lot of you. And I have this conversation. I'm like, that's one thing. You tried one thing for 1 week. You've been feeling like this for years. How can you possibly think that we could fix this in 1 week? We can't. We have to be able to take the time to allow ourselves to get better and allow our bodies to start accepting this help. Because, we start to feel bad. And then we think about it, and then we feel bad for a long time, and then we don't think about it. And then when we do think about it, we've just accepted that feeling bad or feeling tired or feeling irritable or feeling moody, and we're not concentrating. We just start to think it's normal because we've been doing it for so long. And then you shake it up a little. And then you come back and you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot what it felt like to feel good. Don't sit back and wait. Get yourself off that back burner. Stop pushing yourself aside to do everything for everybody else. I am one of the first people that gives you kudos and compliments for being that go-to person. Do that. But before you do that, fill your own cup. Take care of yourself. Get a good night's rest. Eat well. Exercise. Deal with your own mental balance and get your work done first. And when you're done and you're balanced and you're feeling good, open the doors to help everybody else you can. The problem is we put our priorities onto helping everybody else, and I understand it's commendable. And doing all these things for everybody else, and then everybody just starts to expect it, and they're like, well, go see Jeff, he'll do it for you. And I used to all the time. And then I started getting older, and I started thinking that I need to start doing a little self-help. I can't drink from a cup that's empty. And I can't pour from a cup that's empty, and I can't keep giving all of this out if I don't start recharging and plugging in myself. So it's really, really important to do that. And I hope that maybe if you walk away with this with just one little tip that might make a difference for you, that might get you a better night's sleep, whether it's getting a new mattress or changing the sheets more often or setting your thermostat to a little bit more of a conducive balance. And that if you need a blanket, put it on. If you don't need it, take it off. One way, just that way. To stop using your devices at night, to blacken and darken your room, to have movement of air. Sometimes that's also very relaxing. To set a time, maybe a range of time when you go to bed every night, because most of us can't go at the same time, but maybe a range like I'm going to bed between 10:30 and 11:30. Fine. There's an hour for you to play with, and shut everything down. Don't overeat late at night, but do what you need to do. Take a bath, take a shower, go for a walk, pet your dog, read a book, do something, but allow yourself to do this, because you know what? You're going to be so much better if you take the time to do this for yourself. And I know that we think of sleep as just something we should do, but it's really something we need to do. And it's something that if we don't do it, it's going to affect our health. And if it's something that we get done correctly in a very positive way, it's going to change our life and our body and our mind and everything as well. So I hope that you all have pleasant dreams. Make sure to go to my webpage, drjeffreyburke.com. When you're there, tap on the Honest Health logo. It looks just like this. It'll take you to Spotify. That's the one I recommend if you are driving and you want to listen, because then you're not looking and watching and your eyes are on the road, please. But if you go back to my webpage and you tap on the YouTube logo, it'll take you to YouTube. And then you just tap on videos and you'll see the long list of all of the videos that you can watch in the podcast and my amazing guests and incredible topics. Many, many more coming your way from some absolutely incredible minds, both inside and outside the natural products industry. And remember, when you're there, always subscribe, like, and give a heart, whatever that is. It's funny, after 42 years of doing radio shows, we never ever had to do that. But now on this new platform, I get continually reminded that I need to ask people to subscribe. So do that. It's just a button. Tap it, press subscribe, and we'll continue to bring absolutely great information as well as, engaging conversations, and always with a smile, always positive, and always honest and true. Thank you for tuning into the Honest Health Podcast. My name is Jeffrey Burke. Have a great night, and God bless.
Stay tuned for more information from the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. And make sure to check back often for interviews and conversations from the guests we all want to hear from. I'm John the Announcer. Thanks for listening.